Hello, Robin at Toadstool Tarot here. Today I'm reviewing a deck I've had for some time. I'm slowly making my way through my collection for you. And this one is Tarot Mucha. Now, I looked online before I did this to find out how to pronounce his name because I always thought he was French. And I thought I'd always been pronouncing it Mucha or Mucha. And it turns out he's actually Czech. And the pronunciation, according to his grandson, who had done an online interview, is Mucha. So anyway, having gotten that out of the way, this deck is from Lo Scarabeo. It came out a number of years ago, and I believe it is still available. It comes in a really heavy box with graphics on all four sides and the top, and it's a lift-off box. Hear that? It's a nice sturdy box. It's Lo Scarabeo, if it hadn't said that already. And the problem I have had with these art decks and have come to learn, and the problem I had with this when I got it was they don't feel authentic to me. They claim to be the artwork of the artist listed, and yet when you look at them, a lot of them don't look like works that were done by this artist. They look like they'd been inspired by the artist or redrawn or repainted, but not the artist's actual work. And that's a pet peeve that I have. I feel like if you're going to use an artist's name, Tarot Mucha, they better be Mucha works, not just an homage or an inspiration by Mucha. So, in any event, it comes with a hefty little book inside, and it's got pretty thick, glossy pages with a smattering of full color images. 128 pages. It's in English and looks like possibly French and German and possibly even Russian. I don't know. Anyway, I looked at the title page in here, and it says Tarot Mucha, artwork by Julia F. Massalia, and colors by Barbara Nocenzo. So this tells me, oh, and underneath the picture it says, an extraordinary tribute to the art of Alphonse Mucha and the tarot masters of the past. So there you go. If not a blatant admission, a pretty good indication that this is a tribute to Mucha as opposed to his actual artwork. Some of it's more convincing than others. Another problem I had when I got this deck was one of the cards was damaged. And at the time, I didn't know that you can actually usually contact the manufacturer and get a replacement card. At this point, I don't know if it's too late to do that or not. But I was so disappointed with the images when I saw them that I just wasn't excited enough to follow through and get a replacement. And the deck still works with the defect, which I'll show you as we go through. But I may very well be willing to trade this if anybody's interested. I don't know. It's still a pretty deck, and it's a usable deck. It's just, I wanted something more authentic, and it doesn't ring authentic to me. So, without further ado, we'll do a little walkthrough here. These are the backs of the cards. Wonder if I can get any better with this lighting. It's so glary. Still pretty bad, but maybe you can make it out. That's the back of the card. The colors, his work, a lot of it is poster art from, I guess, the late 1800s, is usually very vivid colors, and these seem muted to me, and they also seem toned to a particular kind of almost pastel palette or something. I don't know. They just don't seem as vivid or as intense as some of the work I've seen reproduced in books. See, this doesn't look like his work to me. This seems sort of, well, like I said, muted, with browns and kind of autumn colors. I hate to be such a downer about this. Some of you might really find this a lovely and workable deck. I don't think I've touched it since I bought it. I had such high expectations. And some of you are going to say, oh my God, you are a fussy collector, and I am. But when it's advertised as one thing, I expect it to be that thing and not something else. And this is very nice artwork from somebody else. It just doesn't feel like, it's like they have studied the work of Mucha, but it just, it's like redrawn. And if you like that style, maybe you won't mind. And that sun's face, it just doesn't ring to me true. And anybody who knows me knows that I love Art Nouveau, pre-Raphaelite, classic art images. Maybe that's why it bothers me all the much more, but I'm kind of a stickler for authenticity. But this is kind of, I mean, I have gotten several decks from Lo Scarabeo, artist decks, and one of them well, two of them I really like, the Golden Botticelli and the Golden Klimt, and somebody told me that even those have been repainted or reimagined, but whoever did it did such a good job that I didn't notice, with the exception of a small handful of cards that looked different in style. The bulk of those decks seemed authentic to me. one thing on the positive side, for those of you that don't like labels, these cards are only subtly labeled with numbers and Roman numerals at the top of the numbers at the top of the minors, Roman numerals at the top of the majors, and that's definitely a positive difference in Los Scarabaeo's previous style of listing, anywhere from 4 to 6 languages on the borders. They do have rather elaborate kind of double borders. There's a design border, and then outside of that is a blank background border. And I know some of you love your borderless cards, so you might not like that, but that's the deal on these cards. Now here's the damaged card. It's the Queen of Pentacles. I don't know if you can see. There's a tiny little chip in that corner up there. It doesn't affect the image. It's a chip on the border. And if you were going to trim the deck, you could probably just trim that defect right off. Because, well, it looks like it's not consistent. I was going to say the backs of the cards don't seem centered on their borders, but looking through the deck, that's not consistent either. So I hadn't noticed that before. So maybe trimming wouldn't work. I guess it depends on how much you're bothered by that. I think most people want a perfect deck. I do. That little defect and the inauthenticity of the art both put me right off this deck. I don't know if you can see what I mean about the skies. They're like, almost like autumn skies with, like sort of brown, orangey brown tones to the skies. This would be a great deck actually to work with in the autumn if you color coordinate your use with seasons or holidays. Oh, actually these are now blue. These swords. The suit of swords have bluish skies. I just want to check the Hmm. Well, the majors, of course, the skies are all different. The cups look to be sort of a yellowy blue kind of sky for that suit. The coins are a little more so yellow. I don't know what they had in mind. It doesn't seem that consistent. I thought maybe each suit had a cast of a different color. But with the exception of the swords that are all kind of bluish gray, watery, cloudy skies, the others don't seem that consistent. The wands are mostly orangey, but the Six of Wands isn't. And I was trying to figure out if they put the coloring in as though it were morning, noon, dusk, and night or something like that, but I don't think it's that specific. Anyway, so that is the Alphonse Mucha deck, and like I said, I may be quite willing to make a trade if anybody out there is interested and doesn't mind that one little border chip. Until then, oh, there are also these two other cards on the deck. It's a title card and a usual Lo Scarabeo card. Alright, enough for now. See you next time. Bye.